Hello, boys and girls. Today we're going to learn about the color green. Green is the color of grass. It's the color of lime jello. It's also the color of the blood in Mad Doctor from Blood Island. And it's the color of a highly infected wound. That's right, today's episode is brought to you by the color green on this episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast. Yay!
Attention planet Earth and beyond. Stay tuned for Attack of the Killer Podcast. 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 Yay!
What?
Hello and welcome to a very colorful episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast. This is show 309, and today we're going to talk about the color green. All the films in this episode have the word green in the title. So, get ready for that.
Yeah. So you figure this one out quick.
This is your first time listening to Attack of the Killer Podcast. Let me tell you, we're a horror movie podcast, group of friends. We get together with a topic and we discuss films within that topic. We're all just friends hanging out, playing Nintendo, and there may be spoilers.
Yep.
Now, if you like what you hear, you should become part of the Attack of the Killer Podcast family and become what we affectionately call an attacker. If you go to jointheattackers.com, you can pick a tier to donate to the show. Your support keeps the lights on and keeps the show going. Once you pick your tier, you become an attacker, and as such, you get access to all kinds of contents and perks for supporting the show. You can get bonus episodes. You can get 3 different exclusive YouTube shows. You can get your own membership card, sticker, and certificate. You can get invites to our monthly horror hangouts, watch parties, and our exclusive chat that we call Attack of the Killer Chat. You can also get shout-outs on this very show and on our website. Just like these attackers right here.
Like Timothy Lennerer, Roman Doppelfeld, Larry Watanabe, Brett Royer, Seth Key, Jessica Irish, Chris Cook, Brian Gutzel, Stephen Sitter, Brandy Moore, Andrew Moeller, Rod Hutchinson, Carmen DeHague, Abraham Moreno, Andrew Bentler, Casey Kelderman, Tony Miller, Mike Clayton, Rose Talashoma, Abe Kirshner, Lisa Cavalier, Holly Berg, Bill Fisher, Emily Randolph, and Greg Diedrich. What a list.
Awesome
right.
people.
Yeah. And if you back at the Attack of the Killer chat level, you can get in very heated arguments about pizza.
Apparently so.
We want to know your opinion.
It's important stuff, guys.
Yes, you too can be on that list, and you can also be talking about pizza by going to jointheattackers.com. Go there, pick the tier that best suits you, and become an attacker. That's jointheattackers.com.
I'm going to change it instead of Killer Chat to Pizza Chat or something, Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
You should. Well, you know what time it is now, though, right? It's time to introduce you to the podcast crew. He knew his salad got burned up in a fire because he found the charred romaines. Brian.
Oh, God, it's not easy being green. Hello, everybody.
He does not like them here or there. He would not like them anywhere. He would not like them in a house. He would not like them with a mouse. He does not like green eggs and ham. His name is Jason.
That's true. Green eggs. Gross. Thanks, everyone, for showing up.
His doctor told him he needed to eat more greens, so he bought himself some food coloring and decided to diet Tad.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. Sorry.
Just sorry.
And now we're going to turn it over to Tad with what we watched.
I can't wait to hear what other green movies everybody watched the past 2 weeks. Jason, what have you watched?
I honestly sat down and tried to watch some.
Something green?
Yeah, I did. And the closest I got was the 1981 Frankenstein Island.
I was if you weren't going to bring this up, I was going to bring it up. I was on your goddamn letterbox. I'm like, friggin', how did he independently on his own watch Frankenstein's
Green.
Island.
He's
And not
I have
only that,
questions, yes.
I have so many questions. 1 star, yet he gave it a heart.
Yeah. Oh no, the movie's terrible. But the way I liked it because it was riff tracks, baby. Of course it was.
should've known it was
Of
riff
course.
That's cheating.
Exactly. And also the only way to get through this movie. But
I've watched it raw, you coward.
it's well,
He just raw dogged it.
yeah, I don't have the calluses you have, my friend, but the shit you torture yourself with. Yeah, so I always wonder if you see that, but I just assume you know it's riff tracks.
I saved it for what I was going to talk about with what we watched if you didn't bring it up. I was going to be like, well, I watched this and this and this, but I want to know.
Right.
I think we always hope that we've turned you over to our side of things.
Yeah.
I've been
And
trying
I
since
want you
I
to
met
think
him.
that, but it ain't happening. But hey, it's close. I'm meeting you in the halfway.
Yeah,
Right?
I'll take riff
I
tracks
still
from you.
fucking had to watch Frankenstein Island. It was there the whole time. I watched a bunch of good movies like Napoleon. That was awesome. Okay, then I can't do.
It was
This
it was
is-
awesome. I'd say it's nominated for like costumes at the Oscars, but other than that, I mean,
Hey.
and I know that's not a judge on what is good and what isn't, but I would prefer to watch Napoleon Dynamite myself.
Ridley Scott film, Joaquin Phoenix. He's great. It's awesome. There's if anything, I wished y'all would, and maybe it'll just show up on YouTube at some point, maybe, but I'll just spoil a scene for you. Like he's like nobody in the beginning. He's barely part of the army, and he gets to lead this battle, and he starts it, and he's like, you can see him nervous as hell. Joaquin Phoenix is Napoleon, and he's on his horse, and he's like, fuck it, let's go. And his horse takes like 3 steps forward and gets hit in the chest with a cannonball, and it shows it. It's
Wait.
the horse.
The horse gets it. Okay.
The horse
I was
gets it in the chest, right in the front with a cannonball, and it is graphically crazy.
and turned it to glue.
It
Huh?
kind of did. Anyway, I like that
You're
a lot.
kind of making me want to watch Napoleon now.
Yeah, I mean that's bloody as shit.
It's probably like 3.5 hours, so just tell us
Come
the
on.
timestamp of when the horse gets it.
I will. It is over.
Let's YouTube it.
I watched. Speaking of short films, Dune Part 2. Really excited. Got to go to the theater to watch that. Loved it.
Sleepy Star Wars, right on.
Come on.
I hear the second one is definitely a lot more fast-paced and action-packed than the first
A lot
one.
more Dune. Well, he had the popcorn bucket, so
Yeah, come on.
it made it go by a lot faster.
These are being gross.
Butter your own popcorn.
Next, I watched. It was great though. I love it. American Fiction. I watched that. That was great.
Fuck yeah. I love that one.
That was really good. That Jeffrey Wright kid. He's pretty good in all that he does.
Yeah.
I thought there was one more. Oh yes. Oh man, Poor Things.
Finally, yes.
Finally got to see it with my girlfriend Emma Stone. And Yorgos.
And Yorgos just announced his next movie with Emma Stone comes out in June of this year. Holy shit.
I know. Because this movie looked like it took forever to make.
For real. I know someone else on the show who watched it for the first time.
Oh. Yeah, I loved it. It's not just because she's naked through half of it. But then again, like I almost didn't like this movie. And you probably figure out why, just because it's me. And so like I sympathize with the Rami Youssef,
Yeah.
the main first dude, the assistant, and like he's such
Whose
a
heart was in the right place.
sweet,
Yeah.
innocent guy, just trying to be in love, and fucking just consistently gets shit on, and I'm
But
not.
it's not about him.
I don't care.
I've heard the book is like
Well,
basically from his perspective.
well,
Oh,
okay.
I didn't know this was based on a book.
Yeah.
Well, and I thought that too, Brian. I'm like, don't the movie is not about him. and I tried to disassociate myself away from that and let it be her story, but like I don't know, I can't. When there's, I can't not get personal when there's like a cheating woman. Like I just fucked that movie, you know. So like I don't know. So I'm not. It was a good movie. It is definitely a fantastic movie, but
there was never. I don't think you could call it cheating because there was never any dishonesty. She flat out said, "This is what I'm going to go do. You can like it or not." And he was like, okay.
Yeah, just make
It's
sure to
not
come
like
back.
she was fucking around behind his back. She's like, okay, it's one of those, if you
He
love her,
clearly
set her
didn't
free, and
like
if she
it.
comes back, she's yours kind of thing. Like, it's, well, but it's not up to him to like because he doesn't own her. That's the whole fucking point.
Well, and I know, I get it. It's hard for me to deal with. And that's what I watched.
All right.
Well, I guess then there was, of course, Creepshow 2. I can't forget that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you started watching the new season of Dark Side of the Ring? It just started up.
Did it? Oh, shit. I will now.
Wait, what
All right.
season is it?
4?
Like 4 or 5, I can't remember. But it's.
I think
I was surprised it's already out.
It
like,
just started?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's got to be 5 then, because I just started 4,
Oh.
and there's a bunch of episodes
Cool.
of that.
Yeah. So that's something else to look forward to. Brian, what have you watched? Can't
Well,
wait.
I also watched Poor Things, which is one of the best movies I've seen in I don't know how long. Holy shit, was that good. And, like, the story was fantastic. The performance, I mean, Emma Stone should have won a fucking award. Maybe she has, I don't know. I don't
She
know
won
the
Best
awards,
Actress at the Oscars.
She did.
Oh, she did? Okay, well, perfect
Yep.
then. Good. She deserved
Earned
it.
it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That performance was astonishing. Great story. Visually, the movie was just unbelievable. Like, I can't remember the last time I saw a movie that looked that interesting and unique, and how
Right.
much of it was done with miniature photography and not CGI. Like the intentional artifice of the whole thing, of the weird, like the ship
Universes,
that they're on
yeah.
at one point. Like, it's clearly like it's some alternate reality to ours kind of thing. But I mean, of course it was all enhanced with CGI because that's just how things are done these days, unfortunately. But it was pretty obvious that the main thrust of the weird effects and the production design were all done practically, and that was fantastic.
And that's why I
Dafoe
think
was
I
great.
liked it more than a Tim Burton thing.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
Like, it was just the way it was.
What was
more
the
real.
animal that was like half chicken, half what was the other?
Pig
The
head.
chicken pug. Or the
Yes.
pig- well, one
Both
of them was a pig.
like-
One of them was a pug
Like,
dog.
and that, I mean, those creations, the fucking score is like
Oh, the score.
unlike anything else. It's like played on instruments that the guy made for this. It's like, what? Everything
that's
about
cool.
this. It's like, did they just make up their own lenses for the cameras? Like,
Right?
everything about it is unlike anything else, you know? Really fucking cool and creative.
Yeah, phenomenal movie. I watched, so this is all somewhat tied together. So I went up to Minneapolis last weekend and went to Greenhaven, my favorite store in the world, and along with picking up a bunch of books and dropping off some copies of my new-ish book, The Beast of Haunted Cave novelization. One of the guys who works there is huge into Hong Kong movies and hooks me up. I think I was talking about this last episode, and so I got some new Category 3 bootlegs from him, and I watched Red to Kill, which is about a guy who, because of some childhood trauma, has a compunction to, whenever he sees a woman wearing red, rapes them to death. And he works at a home for mentally challenged adults. So you can imagine how tasteful this movie gets. And keeping with the green theme, I watched Frogman,
Nice.
because I picked that up, also up in Minneapolis. A friend of the director had a table there selling copies of it. I'd seen a lot of hype online. I wasn't expecting to see it there, so that was kind of a pleasant surprise. I thought, well, fuck yeah, I'm gonna take a swing at it, blind buy this sucker. and it's really good. Fun little found footage cryptid movie. I messaged the director a little bit today, actually, and said I loved the movie and was looking forward to whatever he was doing next. And he said they were getting ready to shoot later this year on his new project. So looking forward to seeing whatever that is.
Did you ask him his thoughts on Casey's Pizza?
No, but he seems like an upstanding fella, so I can only imagine he likes it.
Yeah, the guy who made
Right.
Frogman probably loves Casey's Pizza.
As
Knew it
all,
was cool.
all right-thinking people do.
That's right.
But the reason I was up in Minneapolis is because they had a screening of The Dead Next Door with J.R. Bookwalter in attendance, doing a Q&A and selling Blu-rays before and after, signing stuff. So I bought some movies and got a poster signed by him and got to talk to him for a little bit. He is such a nice guy. So if you ever get a chance to see an event, and he was actually, the reason he was up there wasn't for The Dead Next Door. That just happened to work out. He's actually doing a road show promoting his new movie, Side Effects May Vary, which they were showing. Sadly, it was Tuesday night, and I just couldn't make it back for that. But they showed the trailer for it ahead of Dead Next Door, and it looks like a lot of fun. And so he talked a little bit about that during the Q&A and discussed the worst kept secret in cult cinema history, that Sam Raimi bankrolled The Dead Next Door, and had some fun stories about working with him and the behind the scenes stuff on that. So yeah, Dead Next Door is awesome. If you haven't seen it, obviously check that out. And yeah, if you get a chance, if you see that JR is going to be in your city with his new movie, go check that out too.
It sounds like something that I would love to book at the Capitol, and Burlington wouldn't show up for it, but people from out of town might come check it out, so that would be
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
If you do it on a weekend, I'll be there.
Heck yeah. Is that what everything you've watched? I mean, I know it's not, because you've sent us weird clips from other weird shit you've watched.
The clips I was sending you today were from an episode of Ultraman Tiga. So
Okay.
so yes, I watched an episode of Ultraman Tiga today, but that's enough about me. Tad, what have you watched?
Well, I was going to kick it over to Mike, because we haven't heard from him yet.
Right.
So, Mike, no,
you
you're
always
good.
complain that nobody ever asks you, so I thought I'd try to be nice and include you, and then you just shot me down
Yeah.
like a Casey's Pizza hating motherfucker.
That's right.
Mike, what,
You think
Mike,
you know
what have you
somebody,
watched?
Brian. You just
Okay, so I have been trying to catch up on some gaps in some filmographies. I watched a Fred Olen Ray, Brink Stevens movie I have not seen before, called Haunting Fear from 1990, based on Edgar Allan Poe story, starring Brink Stevens. And I'd have to say, like, I've always been definitely more of a Linnea Quigley fan, even on the cuteness side of things. But I don't know, she looked really good in this one. Really, really cute. But
Who knew Edgar Allan Poe wrote that many boobs into his story?
yeah, I know. Yeah. At first, I'm watching this, and it's a little slower paced and like kind of more melodrama, and I'm thinking to myself, this is a Fred Olen Ray movie, and then all of a sudden the boobs are out, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, it's a Fred Olen Ray movie. But it's pretty cool, and it takes a while to get to the imagery you see like on the poster of like this crazed, pale-skinned, scarred Brink Stevens with a knife running around. But when you get to that point, it's freaking awesome. The last 10-15 minutes of the movie is definitely a highlight reel for Brink Stevens playing something monstrous and crazy. Also, I watched for the first time, going through DVDs of stuff that's been sitting around that I've never watched before. I watched The Brothers Solomon from 2007 with Will Arnett and Will Forte, Kristen Wiig, directed by Bob Odenkirk, and I got to say, I was extremely disappointed. So much talent in front of and behind the camera, so much great comedic talent, and I did not think it was funny at all. I mean, there was probably a couple of chuckles here and there, And it's definitely where they're trying to do the dumb duo type of thing, like a Bob and Doug McKenzie or a Cheech and Chong or a Jane Silent Bob. I just don't know if like we just have no connect with these characters like we do with the history of those ones that I've mentioned, or they just missed the mark. And I also think a lot of times movies, comedies from this era, from those type of comedians, that sometimes the point of a director is to reel back performances at times, and I feel like that's just from an era where there was too much improvisational going on, and I think maybe that hurt it too. I don't know, but I mean, there's some cool concepts there, but it's just a bummer because I love everybody involved and think they're comedy geniuses, but was very disappointed. Last thing I want to bring up, I showed my son the original Ghostbusters for the first time, if you can believe that. You'd think that had been something we watched a long, long time ago. But this is my soapbox moment, boys and girls. Prime sucks.
Come on.
I keep talking about it, and they just keep getting worse. I go to watch this on Prime, and it's like, I keep having to turn it up and then turn it down. Like, the dialogue is really soft, but like sound effects and music is really, really loud. And then I knew something was wrong and off when it gets to right after the librarian gets like scared, and then the theme song kicks in and it cuts to the logo and everything. When I could not hear Ray Parker Jr.'s vocals on the song. And I'm going, what is going on? And I'm messing with like audio settings on the TV and everything. And we just keep watching, and we get about another 5-10 minutes in where I can't hear half of the dialogue, and I'm hearing cues in the music score that I've never heard before. And I said, forget this. I turned it off, and we watched it another way, and it was just fine that way. So the audio mix on Ghostbusters, a classic film, a staple of 80s cinema, on Amazon Prime, has a effed up audio mix on it. Just another reason why I am wanting to burn Amazon to the ground. That's what I watched.
It's a figure of speech. Mike's not really going to burn Amazon to the ground. We are getting an Amazon fulfillment center here in Burlington. So if you really do want to burn one down, there'll be one close by. Yeah. No, I had Blake actually got the 4K and complained profusely about the film grain, but
the grain on a 4K?
Yeah.
I will say, so we ended up watching it on Hulu, and I will say the video quality was a little bit better on the Prime version, but it just goes to show, man, audio is everything in film.
I'm curious to go. I'm going to see it on Prime and see if it's you or Prime.
Yeah, I wish. Yeah, because Mike and technology, you just never know.
All right.
But
watched the same movie on Hulu, and its audio was fine. So
that's why physical media rules.
oh,
That's right.
That's where it's going.
That's right. It's true.
Hey, Brian, ask me what I watched.
Hey, Chad, what kind of pizza? No. What did you watch?
Last weekend, the weekend between since we've recorded, I went to the Winoda, I don't know how to pronounce it, film festival in Decorah, Iowa, and I saw a short film that was, it left an impression on me. It was called Hangman. It came out last year. It's basically about a recently widowed woman whose husband hung himself in their house, and her dealing with that every day in her life. And the way they show her grief is they have his legs with his shoes dangling everywhere she goes. So she's like walking through the grocery store, and there's his like dirty Nikes and his jeans hanging in the aisle, and she hits her head as she's walking down the milk aisle, and she's backing up her car, and it hits the back window of her car, and she's walking through the house, and his feet are hanging from the doorway, and it's just like it was really, really well done. It in like 18 minutes made me very sad, but also just very impressed with the way they showed the grief. Yeah, fantastic. It's not online anywhere yet. It's still doing the festival rounds, but hopefully maybe you can see it at Snake Alley this year, because I was really impressed by it. On the other end of the spectrum, not a short film, I watched Killers of the Flower Moon.
Hey.
Martin Scorsese is still really fantastic filmmaker. He's telling important stories, and this one is like 3 hours and 26 minutes. And it didn't really feel that long. It felt shorter than Oppenheimer. Really good, has a fantastic cast. The story will piss you off. Have you seen it yet, Jason?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I think you mentioned it on here a
I
few,
love it.
probably
but
months
it's
ago.
It's tough. Yeah.
It almost felt like it needed to be longer because it's such a big story. It felt like even with that huge runtime, it was not glossing over things, but just that there's so much more context that needs to be told, you know?
Well, I think when Tarantino split The Hateful Eight into like an 8-episode miniseries for Netflix, I was like, I would love for this to be something like a miniseries rather than a feature film. Like, if we could just have episodes and break it up, and he could go longer, and it wouldn't feel like. And it still was great. It's really great. But like Brian said, it's 3.5 hours, but the story has so much to it, and it's a huge part of history that a lot of people don't know about. I feel like, yeah, he could have included more detail, and but really good. It's amazing that Marty's still on the top of his game at this age and he's still killing it. On sort of the other end of Oscars, I watched Past Lives, and that was like a really short, simple, not even 2 hours, I don't think, but really great drama about two kids who fall sort of for each other as childhood friends, and the girl moves away to the U.S. as like a teenager, and later on in life through social media reconnect, and he still has this huge thing for her. And she's like got a career, got a husband, moved on, and Jason, you'd probably love it because it's sad, but also just really great storytelling and the characters you really care about. I could see you crying to this one. May December was really weird. Has anyone seen this yet?
Just the title and an image, not.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. This one's weird. I can't believe this one was. I mean, I shouldn't say I can't believe it's nominated for an Oscar. It didn't win anything. It has Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore as the lead characters, and I assume it's based on a true story about a woman who's played by Julianne Moore who seduces a 7th grader, and then it's like taking place now when that 7th grader is like an adult and she's an older woman, and they're still together and have kids and stuff. And Natalie Portman is playing her in a movie. She's an actress, so she like moves in with her to learn her story so she can play her in the film adaptation of her life. Really weird. Good, but really weird. A weird story. Here's one that I think, and this is my last one, I think you guys might dig. If you haven't seen it, is El Conde. I don't know how to pronounce it.
It looks neat.
A black and white vampire film. So I'll just read what the description of the film. After living for over 2 centuries, Augusto Pinochet is a vampire ready to die, but the vultures around him won't let him go one last bite. This was nominated for Best Cinematography because it's this weird black and white with some color bits to it. It is like one of the strangest vampire movies I've ever seen. It's an old man vampire movie. And it has a narrator over the top. It is beautiful to look at. It's really cool. Very unique. I recommend it, and it's not even 2 hours. It's like 1 hour and 40. So, it's on Netflix. Check it out. That's what I watch.
Nice.
All right. Thanks, Tad, for that. Now let's get into some green-ass movies. Brian, what's the first movie we're going to talk about tonight?
All right. The first movie tonight is Monster from Green Hell.
The jungle becomes the graveyard of man and beast as the mighty herd stampede in panic before the paralyzing fear of these monsters from the green hell.
The animals flee from green hell. This I have seen.
And there is something, perhaps even monsters, but a thing of nature, not of evil spirits.
This is the drone of death. The terrifying sound of the monstrous cosmic ray mutations unleashed upon the jungle from a rocket run wild.
Can you guess how big the creature itself must be?
Yeah. But we won't have to guess at it, Dan. We'll see for ourselves.
Out of all mankind's millions, only a handful know the full horrifying danger. Their strange safari to fight the giant insect enemy, filmed with thrilling impact. See the battle with the warlike Kanagas, driven wild by their superstitious fear of the monsters. See the subatomic barrage, powerless against these invincible enemies.
Oh, I feel like I just watched the movie again. All right, so doctors Clint Brady and Dan Morgan are working on a program to test the effects of cosmic radiations on life forms before sending humans on extended space missions. Of course, this took place before we landed on the moon and all that. Space exploration was still a scary, wild new thing. They put various types of test animals in these rockets: guinea pigs, spider crabs, I don't know, monkeys or something, probably, whatever. And they lose control of one of their test rockets, which contains wasps. Now, these rockets are only supposed to be in the radiation zone. I don't know. It's 50s movie science. It doesn't matter. For 40 minutes, but they lose control of the wasp rocket, and it's up there for 40 hours before it crash lands on the coast of Africa. They discover, after getting their normal test animals back, that they've doubled in size after only 40 minutes of exposure. So when reports of giant monsters murdering and eating people in the African jungle start to reach the United States, they have some suspicions as to what's doing it. And these reports of monster attacks draw them to Bronson Canyon to deal with the creatures. I feel
Wait
like
a minute.
I feel like
Wait a
I just
minute.
watched the movie.
Isn't that in California?
Oh.
well, I feel like you picked this one for me, Mike.
Maybe.
Of course I've seen this one before, because it's a 50s monster movie, and I love these things. It's a lot of fun. Kenneth Crane, the director, was mostly an editor, so it makes sense that he was chosen to direct a movie that was about 30 minutes of new footage plastered around a bunch of stock footage from Stanley and Livingston. And so the actors in the new footage had to wear pith helmets to match the stock footage. He only directed 4 movies and an episode of the O. Henry Playhouse TV show. Well, okay, directed 3.5 movies. He did the John Carradine footage for the nearly unwatchable American version of Ashiro Honda's Half Human, which is quite good if you watch the original version and not the god-awful American version. He also did an early Charles Bronson war film called When Hell Broke Loose, and the inexplicably entertaining The Manster, which is the most lively movie of all the ones he made. Fantastic flick. Inspired Sam Raimi to do some of the gags in Army of Darkness.
Army of Darkness, yeah.
Yeah. The lead actor, Jim Davis, was a well-known character actor, mostly did westerns. This was one of 12 different movies and or TV shows he did in 1957 alone, so he worked a lot.
And Jim Davis, he also created Garfield.
Yeah, exactly. And he was in some highfalutin stuff with Betty Davis and things that won awards, but whatever. Aside from this, his most important roles are Marshall McPhee and Jesse James Meets Frankenstein's Daughter for William One-Shot Bodine, Clay Bates in Five Bloody Graves, and Sergeant Martin in Dracula vs. Frankenstein, both for Al Adamson. And he did an episode of Night Gallery, which, I don't care what anyone says, is better than The Twilight Zone. But the best performance in the movie is Aerobi, played by Joel Flewellen. He had almost 130 credits to his name. He'd been working in film uncredited since 1937, but didn't get his first credited role until 1945 in the Ray Crash Corrigan guerrilla movie White Pongo, playing a character with the troublesome name of Mumbo Jumbo. After that, it would be 2 more years of uncredited roles before 1947's The Burning Cross. Basically from a time when if you weren't Noble Johnson or Mantan Moreland or Steppenfetchit, black actors didn't get much recognition. And as you might imagine, most of these early movies he was in uncredited, and a lot of the credited ones too, have the word jungle in the title somewhere. Old Hollywood. He did get to see that change, though, sort of, and later on got to be in some films with majority black casts like Porgy and Bess, and really fantastic and underseen. I hesitate to call it blaxploitation because it's not really an exploitation movie, but it's a very unusual thing in that it's a Western with an all-black cast. It's called Thomasine and Bushrod. I think it's popped up streaming in some places recently, so if you do get a chance to see it, check that one out. It's really good. The wasp effects, because that's what everyone's here to see, right? Not the actors. The fucking giant goddamn stop-motion wasps, the kaiju-sized, sometimes because... who has the time to pay attention to scale continuity when you're making a movie for $5 in 3 days? Sometimes these wasps are literally the size of a mountain. Sometimes they're about the size of a T-Rex. It just kind of depends. But the effects were by Gene Warren, who went on to win an Academy Award for his work on George Pal's The Time Machine. This was, I think, his, if not his first, his second movie being in charge of stop motion, and he knew very little about this and Kronos. He made both in 1957, so I'm not sure exactly which one went into production first, but so this was either his first or second movie, and he didn't really know how to do stop motion, but that was the only way to make something like this in 1957, so he just kind of had to figure it out. So none of the creatures had armatures. So if you've seen like an actual stop motion thing, like the King Kong armature, for example, is this little, looks like it's made out of what are those metal toys that like our parents used to have, where you kind of screw them together, not connects, but something like that. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, these were just like rigid puppets that had a little bit of wire in them. There's a scene where one of the giant wasps fights an anaconda, and the snake was just clay wrapped around a single strand of plain copper wire, like that you just clip off a roll of electrician's wire. And so he had to move every single inch of it for every frame to keep it from looking stiff and weird. And he said that snake was a fucking nightmare. It was like the most pain in the ass thing. But his family legacy continued on. His son Gene Warren Jr. also went into effects, and he worked on stuff like Terminator 2, Francis Coppola's Dracula. So, big stuff. And the wasp stingers, this has nothing to do with the special effects now, this is just a weird creature design thing, seem to have migrated from their butts up to their faces. Yeah. Did anyone notice that? Oh, yeah. When the wasp is fighting the snake and injects the snake with venom from what should look like they should have been its antenna. But they're the stingers, because, again, what is science? So what'd you guys think of Monster from Green Hell?
I just want to say I love that you're back on the show, Brian, because it's fun for me to be able to follow along with most of what you're saying when you're talking about some of these actors and stuff, but then watch Jason's head just literally spin. It's so much fun for me. And I'm assuming Tads is probably doing about the same.
Yeah, it's like, shit, I need to work harder at this. I liked the movie. I love the poster a lot.
Oh, the poster's great.
It's fantastic. I could see that on Brian's wall. But, I
don't have it yet, but I do have a lead on one.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
As expected, The Wasp stuff was great.
So much
Everything
fun.
else I didn't care for, especially the like traveling to get there business. Just like, oh, it sucks. I just hate it. But yeah, anytime there was giant monster, I had a great time with it. It was a lot of fun.
They hated the traveling too. That's why they didn't even bother to shoot it. They just used somebody else's.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did Mystery Science Theater do this one?
No.
I didn't see it. Yeah, no, I couldn't find it.
I was saying that's Jason probably watched that version if it would have been
If
out
I
there.
could have, I would have.
Were you done?
And I may have done that for other films in the past. But go ahead.
Okay.
Yes, I liked it. I liked the good stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say the good stuff. I was just gonna say, like, the next time I hear somebody make fun of Ed Wood for overuse of stock footage, I'm gonna refer to them to this movie.
Yeah.
This movie's about 50%. I like well, as far as the human stuff goes, I and the traveling and whatnot. I know what you're saying there, Jason, but I kind of like some of that cave stuff that they were doing. It was
And I didn't mind the stuff in the beginning either, just setting it all up.
setting up with the shooting the animals into space and stuff. Yeah. No, I like this one, and honestly, it was a first time watch for me. This is one that I never got around to before.
Nice.
But,
Hey, me too.
yeah.
Shocker.
But yeah, definitely. And anytime you got stop motion, no matter what level it is at, you've got me hooked. Really enjoyed it. Although, yeah, I mean, the wasps are kind of stiff and whatnot. It kind of reminds me of like in the Weird Al Dare to Be Stupid music video when there's the army of cootie toys, the old cooties game, and they're done in a very bad stop motion. Kind of reminded me of that a little bit. It's very stiff, but yeah, fun movie.
Great
Yeah.
title.
Yes, great title.
Yeah, great idea to reference a green monster, or a green hell when it's a black and white movie. But
It's called imagination, Tad.
I know, and that's what I was going to praise it on, is that I love seeing what people had to come up with, like how they had to do it, because they had to be creative on how the hell do we make these monsters look big, using perspective, using stop motion, using stock footage. There's still some filmmakers that sort of take inspiration from that today, and I think it's a whole lot of fun to see it done practically, even if, like you said, the scale jumps up and down from scene to scene. It's like it does take me out of the film, because I'm just thinking about like what it was like on set doing this, or what it was like making it. But that's okay. Like it's not. I'm not going to sit down and watch a whole afternoon of these kinds of movies, but I love the variety we have on this episode, and I'm glad that this was included, because it's when people might see green in our title, that we did a whole green episode. That is such a loose thing, because these three movies are so very different from each other.
Yeah, which was another thing that, spoilers, listeners, but this may not be the only color theme episode in the near future. But yeah, you can get a more variety on when you do those episodes where it's this word in your title kind of theme. And I know there was other films that were originally suggested for this one. They were just harder to track down free-wise. And then when I was doing research and saw Monster from Green Hell, it's like, oh, anytime I can get some more older films, some more classics onto the show, it seems like you guys always appreciate it. So, and I love watching this stuff too.
And it's short.
And there's that too. It's short. Tad, what trivia do you have for Monster from Green Hell?
Well, you mentioned earlier, and Brian has mentioned it earlier too, but you said about 50% of this is stock footage. Actually, someone used a stopwatch. It's roughly 40% of the movie is stock footage, so don't exaggerate.
Oh, excuse me.
I actually assumed it was more, but
and then the other one I found that was interesting, even though the film was originally released in black and white with red tinted scenes near the end, the 1997 VHS release of the film has a scene shot in Technicolor. This was most likely done to replicate the original release with red tint scenes. The original tinted scenes were removed for television release, and early video releases continued without the tinted scenes until a 2023 DVD release that remastered the film to its original state with those red tinted scenes back in it.
Oh, I want to see that.
Well, you'll have to get the DVD.
I guess so.
Yeah, quit messing around.
All right, so Tad, what's our next movie?
Our next movie is from 2019, and it is called Greenlight.
We're really looking to hire directors with more experience.
Just means that something even better is coming soon.
So what are you working on now?
I was just a production assistant on a shoot.
Like an intern?
I just want to make movies. I have what it takes. I will literally work every single day for the rest of my life. If one person just gives me an opportunity to make a movie.
Come with me.
Let's do this!
This is your moment.
I don't know what to say, except thank you.
I'm really glad to hear you say that, kid.
I was born for this.
Got kind of an unusual request. I need the final kill in the movie to be real.
I can't let you go through with this.
Got a big day coming up. You ready for it?
Gotta finish the movie, right?
Jack!
You need to leave now. Or he's gonna kill everyone. Never seen a guy before in my life! I just want to make movies.
Actually, we don't do horror.
But I thought you guys just did a horror film.
That was different. It was elevated.
An aspiring director's dream job quickly descends into a nightmare when he is forced to film a real-life murder. A movie about filmmaking. I love movies about filmmaking.
Yes.
And I went into this completely blind. I didn't even, like, my dumb brain did not even think Greenlight. Okay, like greenlighting a movie.
Yep.
I literally saw the poster when I pulled it up. I believe it was on Tubi. And I fucking love this one.
Yes,
too. This was so cool. I love Chase Williamson and everything.
So
John dies
much.
at the end. He is so good, underrated. He should be in more.
Yes.
This was just really cool. Chris Browning was very intimidating, sleazy. It's cool to see Caroline Williams, who should have got mentioned in the bonus episode.
Yep.
But like I said, I'm a sucker for movies about filmmaking, and this, as someone who is not a filmmaker, I can at least separate myself, and it felt believable. And I think with the performance out of Chase Williamson, he makes it believable. You feel for him. I was invested totally. I was just like, oh shit. You sort of know it's coming just because, one, we're watching a horror movie, and two, things are going too well for him. Yeah. It's like, this cannot just be what it is. You know, it can't be
really
this.
happen. Nobody just gets
right.
to move.
Yeah. What's the catch? And, you know, he's along for that ride too, where he's like, why me? Why this? You know, and he's, of course, I watched your short films and I like to give people chances, and you don't have much of a budget. And,
bullshit.
And of course, I'm watching this and thinking about you guys, and I'm like, Mike and Jason, like, you guys can probably relate to this more than anybody, but also I question if you guys watch something like this and think, like, you pick things that's like, oh, that's not how it's done on set, or this isn't how we do, like, a, you know, table read, or how we get our actors, all this stuff. But I'm curious to hear what you guys thought, but I love this one. It really was something out of left field. I'd never even heard of it, and it was great. And Googling it I'll spoil it, like, there's no trivia on this thing. I even tried to deep dive, and nobody's talking about this thing. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has 0 reviews from, it has zero audience, a 0 audience score. Has 75% from critics, because I'm guessing it did, like, a festival run, but nobody's seen this thing.
Well, I'm definitely glad then I did pick it for the show, because I'm glad we can talk about it and maybe make some awareness for this film, because I
Yes.
too love this film. And I do feel like there is a little bit of bias from me just because it is about making films, and that's a huge passion of mine. And I felt like those days on sets felt pretty accurate to me. Yeah. I mean, everything that he experienced making the movie itself felt pretty accurate to me, other than like when he starts effing up as a director because he's so consumed in his head about how the situation he's stuck in and not paying attention to performances and stuff. And that's where it's kind of like, okay, things would be falling apart a lot more in front of the camera. Yet at the end, we get a complete film, as opposed, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So some of that but everything that happened on set felt pretty realistic to me. Even the conversation with the producer in the beginning and getting picked for that job and everything felt pretty realistic to me.
The time frame on which he had to make it happen is normal,
Yeah. So when I was researching movies for this episode and I saw this one, I'm glad. Hopefully, all three of you guys went in blind. I watched the trailer first to see if this would be something that would be of interest, and I'm kind of bummed that I watched the trailer first, because it would have been so great. Because you heard the trailer, it really gives the reveal away right there in the trailer. It'd have been so great to experience that raw of just that moment. He's like, when the producer's like, "Yeah, I want you to kill somebody on the last day. I want the final kill to be real."
Because we're already invested. He's halfway through the movie, and
and you kind of like.
He's like, "Oh,
the producer is kind of intimidating, kind of a little on the scary side, but you almost kind of like him because he is giving this guy his big break, and he just seems to be so supportive of this young director. So but there's something a little sinister behind those eyes. You could just tell.
Oh, that voice, yeah,
and that voice, and he's so. That was the other thing too. The performances in this movie, for such a unknown movie that I randomly found on freaking Tubi from what was the year, 2019? 2019, that I was just worried that it was going to be some kind of like, no budget
video garbage.
Yeah, exactly.
Worldwide gross $8,172.
Oh, that's
Jesus
upsetting.
Christ.
That's upsetting, because this movie deserves a lot more notice than that. The performances are great. Again, it felt like they did a really good job with the making of the movie within the movie. I really like the storyline. Spoilers. The reveal at the end, I didn't feel like it was any big revelation or anything. It was
cool to see how they were going to get out of it, though. I mean,
I'm glad it kind of tied everything into a bow and had a happy ending. Because how are you gonna get out of that situation? So I thought they did a good job with that. But if you're going in with like expecting a cool twist, I hate that word. I felt like it's kind of predictable, but I hate using that phrase too, because if I can anticipate where it's going to go and it does it, then that means to me that I obviously like this movie, because it's going in directions that I think it should go. Also, kind of felt like right there at the end when things are revealed that it felt a little maybe on the Hallmark movie side, but it's all forgiven. One of the most gut-wrenching, upsetting scenes of the whole movie for me was when he breaks up with his girlfriend at that party to get her
to save
out,
her, basically.
to save her.
Yeah.
Oh, and he has to be such a dick, and it's killing him to do it, and it's like, and she's been nothing but supportive, even almost telling off her own parents.
Right. They did a great job of like building up to that by making you really like her and how she's really rooting for him and doing everything, the best supporting girlfriend she can be, and he has to do the unthinkable to save her. It's a very unselfish thing, but it had to be hard, and it felt
also fuck her dad.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fuck that guy.
And then you get that final little moment where she comes to the premiere, and they have that little moment. And you're just like, "Oh, just get back together," and they just leave it hanging. But they're still supportive of each other. And
I got to make a quick correction. Believe it or not, there's another Greenlight in 2019, and I read the wrong one. So the budget was $65,000.
Oh, okay.
That's all I know. So,
but no gross.
There's no box office.
Okay. Okay, I think I'm done rambling.
Well, cut, copy, paste for me. No idea about this movie. Everything he said was great. I apparently have a man crush on Chase Williamson. That I am enthralled and will follow. I mean, I'm just I'll go anywhere with that guy. I thought I'm sorry, but anything post Chainsaw 2, I find Caroline a little annoying.
Yeah,
I get that.
But she was awesome.
Okay,
I thought she was awesome in this.
This was the opposite of that. Yeah,
she really did it.
Good. I hope that's what you were going to say.
Yeah. And the acting across the board was great. And so what a great little sleeper. My only unrealistic thing, even though it kind of happens, but it was so fucking lame and dumb, was the invite the actors over to get to know each other and
to the house. Yeah,
to the house. I'm like, that was beyond awkward and not something that I don't. Man, that was weird. But
yeah, but how many times have we done a script reading or
they're all awkward,
the initial meet and greet, and it's always awkward.
But man, that was like maximum awkward. But yeah, this movie fucking rules.
Because it's 3 people though. That was a little thing too. It's like, okay, this is a cast of 3 people.
And I hope he does more stuff.
This director,
Chase Williamson.
Oh, the actor. Yeah.
Well, he's done some things. But yeah, loved it. Brian has been way too quiet, scaring the hell out of me.
It's fine.
Okay.
Chris Browning was a fantastic villain. I mean, like you guys have all been saying, like I don't really have anything to disagree with. The performances are what carry this movie, and they're all good. His is the best, I think. I thought he was just a great villain. Mm-hmm. I had honestly forgotten how it ended. Like we're sitting here, I'm racking my brain going, shit, I just realized I watched this movie a week ago and I already forgot what the fucking ending was. But then it came back to me. The only really gripe I had with it, I guess, and it's probably not even something that's unrealistic, it just bugged me, and this is such a stupid little thing, it doesn't even matter. But I know he was making a low-budget movie. But the movie they were making looked so fucking cheap. Like 2 sets, 1 gel light, and they really didn't have time to have one of the production assistants write "no sleep" on the wall in a Sharpie more than 3 times. Come on. Like it just seemed like there could have been a little more effort put into making it look like they were making an actual movie.
And they talked about it like it was an actual movie, but what
I know
we were
that's
seeing
just like if they had just really even a few times driven more home, like, look, we got no money and no time. We just got to go. But like you said, they really kind of made it seem like this was his big break. It's not like, oh, you're making your first thing for Full Moon's streaming only division or whatever. Like it seemed like it was supposed to be a half-assedly real movie, kind of, low budget, but still a little, I don't know. Like I said, that's a really dumb gripe. So don't let that detract listeners from going out, because you should check this out. It's worth a watch.
I felt like the movie within the movie was almost like they were riffing on Saw. The theme of the movie within the movie was rather Saw-esque, and even when they're in the scenes and doing and shooting the movie, and we're seeing those scenes pan out, go back and listen to the score. There's some Saw score riffs in that. I felt like that was intentional, and the original Saw was shot in just one warehouse. Even Danny Glover's driving scenes were just them
shot in the warehouse.
Driving
around in a circle.
Well, not even that, just them on either side shaking the car.
Yeah.
I did no way try to put the fake movie together in my head.
I took it as more of a Jacob's Ladder or
Okay.
like where it's because it's all about them, like who can you trust and is this real and is it
Yeah.
not? So it's a little more of a psychological thing, but not so much a Saw type, just straightforward killer movie, I guess. But
Also, when you see storylines or plots like this, you always have that thing in the back of your mind, or maybe in the front of your mind, of, you could just get out of this situation so easily. But I feel like they did a really good job of covering their tracks on that to where he really feels like he's stuck. Like, I thought that was genius of when he hires him to shoot this movie, to celebrate, he has him shoot this gun off, which now has his fingerprints on it. And so, I thought that was so smart in the setup of everything.
yeah, and that it was even smarter than it really needed to be, because I feel like once the guy said, "I want you to kill somebody," and like, I'm not kidding, this is a real thing, and he's clearly a dude who's dangerous and has connections, like, even just being told that is enough to make you, an average person, feel stuck.
Sure.
Like, because even if you go to the cops and they get you out of it and that guy goes to jail, he's clearly got henchmen. He's got somebody who's going to come for you. So I feel like just, even having the guy admit to you what he wants you to do would be enough to trap you in that situation. But just going that extra mile with the gun and that, that was quite clever.
Agreed. So this another success in blind choice.
You did good, kid.
Yay!
Another
thanks.
winner.
I get those every now and then. You said you didn't have any real trivia for this one, right, Tad?
No, nothing. I tried not just IMDb. I Googled. I spent time looking. There's nothing about this. It doesn't help that there's a million movies named Greenlight and even one in the same year. But there's just nothing about this one out there. It's strange. It's like you found this thing that no one's heard of, no one's seen. I hope if you're listening to this, go watch it. And the director will be like, why the hell is there a bunch of people suddenly watching my movie?
I mean, he did a segment, Tales of Halloween. He's got a segment in Satanic Hispanics, which is coming out soon on Shudder.
It's out now on Shudder.
Oh, it is out. Okay.
It is.
So
yeah.
He's got some other stuff you can go.
Yeah, he's doing okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a director I want to look into more for sure. But yeah, everybody out there listening, check it out, please. Let's get this film some life here. Okay, Tad, Jason? It's Jason's turn. What is our next film?
Our next film is from 1973. It's called Soylent Green.
New York City, 50 years from today. Nothing runs, nothing works.
They gave me a quarter of a kilo.
But people are the same. And people will do anything to get what they need. What they need most is Soylent Green. Simonson, board of directors of the Soylent Corporation, murdered because he discovered the secret of Soylent Green. Detective Thorne, he's got to find out what Simonson knew. Saul Roth, Thorne's researcher.
Courtesy of your next assignment, William R. Simonson, Chelsea Towers West. When how'd you get all these?
Cheryl, the furniture.
Is that Simonson? Is that a yes nod or a no nod?
Yes.
Hatcher, police captain.
Simonson. Supposed to look like he was killed when he caught some punk burglarizing his apartment. Well, what do you say? It was an assassination.
Tab Fielding, bodyguard.
Why would you leave that door open?
Why did you set up Simonson? Charlton Heston, Edward G. Robinson, Lee Taylor Young, Chuck Connors. fight for survival and solve the most bizarre riddle ever to face mankind.
This is the police. I'm asking you to disperse. The supply of Soylent Green has been exhausted.
Why does Soylent Green mean life?
You must disperse. The scoops are on their way.
Why does Soylent Green mean death?
Why? Yeah, I almost don't need to read after that trailer. In a dense... I'll wait for TikTok. In a densely overpopulated, starving New York City of the future, NYPD Detective Robert Thorne, played by Charlton Heston, investigates the murder of an executive at rations manufacturer Soylent Corporation. With the help of elderly academic Saul Roth, Edward G. Robinson, Thorne begins to make real progress until the governor mysteriously pulls the plug. Obsessed with the mystery, Thorne steps out from behind the badge and launches his own investigation into the murder. That's right. Directed by Richard Fleischer. This is adapted from a book called Make Room from Harry Harrison. That's a real name. Man, I didn't realize until the trailer. Tab Fielding. That's the coolest / dumbest name I've ever heard from a character in my life. If I have a kid, Tab Fielding Bollinger.
It changes. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll change my name. So anyway, this is a first-time watch for me.
Nice.
But
Here it comes.
I did my best to watch it as if I watched it in 1973 and how the ending would have impacted people then.
Sure.
But no one doesn't know. Everyone knows knows the ending of this.
Everybody knows that line.
Yes.
Charlton Heston on the beach screaming,
"That's right.
Damn you, you maniacs. You blew it all up." Right? That's how it ended?
Pretty much. That's how you finish a movie back then. Get Heston screaming.
Yeah. That's true.
No, I liked it. It was fine.
I saw the stars you gave it on Letterboxd.
I mean, yeah. I really liked Charlton Heston and Chuck Connors in a movie together. Fuck yeah, man.
Very cool.
That was so
It's
cool.
just a lot of face going on.
A lot of face.
Yeah. A lot of face and testosterone.
Yeah, it was fine. You know, it's yeah.
Do you feel like the movie hinges on that reveal, and then the reveal, knowing that it's like common knowledge nowadays that maybe it's not as impactful as a film?
Yes, but I tried my best to just enjoy it without getting to get that. But and yeah, it was fine. You know, I mean, Heston was Heston, just kicking ass and sweaty. They're all so sweaty. What a sweaty movie.
Very shiny skin. Shiny faces.
A lot of face. Shiny face.
Shiny, happy
okay.
Not so happy.
It's true.
Yeah. No, it was fine. I just, it's a bummer that it doesn't get to be what it was now. So, for me anyway, maybe y'all still like it, but have you seen it before?
I have, and I haven't seen it since high school. Wow. There was, story time. Sit back, get some popcorn.
It was a one-room classroom.
It had a senior year, had Exciting Hiding, was one of the coolest teachers in the high school.
Oh.
And
that was a teacher's name?
That's what his nickname was, Mr. Hiding. Everybody called him Exciting Hiding.
Okay.
Clever.
That he earned back in the 70s, because my sisters would tell me a story. On the first day of class, he'd have like Jimi Hendrix playing on a record as the class started, and when the bell rang, he went back to the record player, ripped the needle off of the record and threw it across the room and shattered it. And then he's like, "Now that I got your attention," that's how he started the class. Anyway,
sounds mentally unstable.
Oh, he was amazing. Anyway, so he had this class called Futures, which was which was some kind of like current political commentary on how that's going to affect the future, and I don't still understand what the class was about, but we watched a lot of movies, and this was one of them. So my first time watching this was in Exciting Hidings Futures class. I loved that class because it was all just watching freaking movies. And I thought it was super cool back then. I still really like the movie. In my teenage brain, I could have sworn I remembered a lot more of focusing on the supply and demand of the Soylent Green within the streets of like, could have sworn there was like more people like fighting over this stuff and a lot more scenes like that. You only really get like maybe one scene where you see people, purchasing Soylent Green, and then the officers showing up saying there's no more, and people start freaking out and stuff like that. I do also like their attempts at showing a very broken down society, a very poor society, very dystopian society, still trying to hang on to its rules and its culture, but just people living, several hundred people living in stairwells of apartment buildings, and you're seeing a dilapidated dilapidated apartment, something that I've heard Tad tell stories of friends' houses that I pictured looking like this, that are getting great compliments like, this is a really nice place. You get so much space in here. And I'm like, it's one room. It's one room and all there's holes in the walls. How is this a nice place? But that's the future.
It's better than stairs.
Which was 2020, right? 2022. So
pretty accurate.
Pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Closer than it should be.
Yeah.
Closer than Back to the Future. So
yeah.
I like the scene where he's exploring there towards the end, where he's exploring the factory. I don't know what it is about that scene. I found it rather intense with the fact that there is no score over that whole scene. I thought that was pretty cool. And then just the whole do-it-yourself filmmaking of, this is some future high-tech factory turning people into food. And it's obviously just some, giant warehouse boiler room somewhere in probably New York or something. Anyway, yes, I still really like this movie.
This was a first time watch for me too. It was one of those movies. I mentioned this on this show and on First Time. If you like, it's one of those movies that you feel like you've seen even if you haven't seen it, because everybody knows the line, everybody knows the big scenes, everybody knows the big twist. But I just love the 70s feel to it. When it shines is really cool. I mean, it builds up to the end. We get to know these characters. They actually spend time making you give a shit about them before they throw them in, and you get the scene where the in the big crowds in the streets where they're scooping them up with the whatever big trucks and stuff. This is pretty cool. I mean, I didn't have any real expectations in my head when it popped up on the list. It was sort of like, yeah, I get to check this one off. It's like I've needed a reason to watch it, I guess, and I got that reason, and I didn't have huge expectations, and I enjoyed it. This has just been a great episode. But Soylent Green is like, as people who have seen it, is this considered like a classic, like a true classic, or is it just from the twist that it got? Because I don't really know the background outside of the trivia I read and stuff. I just don't know, like, at the time, if this was like a cultural phenomenon. Is that why everybody knows the twist and the line? And
I couldn't tell you how it did financially back then, but you would assume, Charlton Heston in his prime, $3.6 million, and the fact that Soylent Green as people has seeped into our culture so much that anybody who's never even seen the movie knows that quote. But I don't know how big of a phenomenon it was at the time.
It's a $4 million budget. It did 210 worldwide.
So yeah, successful.
Right on. Very cool. Very 70s.
Give us the
you know,
history,
it's-
Brian.
Yeah.
It's cultural significance.
Well, that's just, I'm not sure how, I mean, obviously, financially it was successful. I don't know if the impact was immediate. I would assume so.
Yeah.
Much like, you know, Jaws came out and a week later everyone was hunting sharks. But, you know, there's no bleak like 70s bleak. This movie is in my sweet spot. The 70s is my favorite decade for movies. You all know that.
Yeah.
And this is just primo. Now, I have read some Harry Harrison. I have his Death World trilogy, which is gifted to me by attacker Tim Lenner. And that's more like fun, pulpy space adventure stuff. So I've not read Make Room, but I would like to. If it's anything like the way Colossus the Forbin Project was translated to screen, that's a case of the movie being better than the book and bleaker than the book. So this might be too, I don't know.
Well, I don't know. With a title like Make Room gives me the feels that it's even bleaker. I mean, how knowing the subject matter, how dark of a title is that?
I mean, the two bleakest books that possibly have ever been written are The Sheep Look Up and Stand on Zanzibar by John Brunner. I can't imagine it getting any more despairing of the future of humanity than those. But who knows? Maybe it is. It's something, if I ever run across a copy, I'll definitely pick it up. But it's such a shame that this movie is only known for that line.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things like, even if you've never seen a Godzilla movie, you say Godzilla, people know what you're talking about. If you've never seen Soylent Green, and I'm guessing these days a majority of people probably haven't, but you say Soylent Green is people, they're like, oh yeah, that's that silly sci-fi thing. But it's always said as a joke. Like, no, it's always a punchline. And I think that doesn't take away from the power of the movie when you watch it, but I think it deters people from watching it because they know that line and delivering it in that jokey, over the top, like pastiche of Heston's acting style manner. That people probably assume that it's cheesy, and it's fucking not. This movie is awesome. God, it's so good. It's so depressing and powerful, and Edward G. Robinson is Saul. That the scene, I mean, his scene when he's in the suicide booth is pretty potent. But there's a smaller scene much earlier on when he's talking to Thorne, and he's just reminiscing about the taste, like, of how great it used to be to eat a strawberry, and it just rips your fucking heart out. God, this movie is awesome.
It's much more than those lines at the end.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
so if
definitely.
anyone listening only knows Soylent Green is people, and you think, like, don't, like, just forget that. Don't think it's a joke. Go watch this movie. Watch it with an open mind. Yes, it was made in the 70s, so there's going to be some, questionable fashion choices and things. But like you said, it's set in the far-flung future year of 2 years ago. and watching it now and seeing just how goddamn close we're getting to a lot of this stuff is really upsetting.
Yeah.
Sci-fi, when it's in Star Trek mode, when it's in optimism mode and showing us what we could have, it's great. It's nice. I don't believe we're ever going to get there. Sci-fi is at its most predictive when it's dystopian and miserable and dismal and pessimistic and saying we're all fucked. And this is a primo example of that.
And so before we do move on, I just wanted to say you can watch this at archive.org, the Internet Archive, and then the first two movies you can watch on Tubi.
We need to get better at that.
Yeah.
The biggest shock of this movie for me is when Dick Van Patten shows up.
Yeah.
Like, what the like, I had to do a double take when Dick Van Patten shows up. It's like so out of place. That's even more out of place than when he shows up in Weird Al videos. That is 2 Weird Al references in this episode. You're welcome.
Okay.
I'm trying to... slacking.
I'm slacking. Exactly. I'm trying to match the references to Brian's Doctor Who references.
Oh, great.
Tad, what trivia do you have for Soylent Green?
This is like the opposite of Greenlight. There's too much trivia, but
Yeah,
lots
I
of
bet,
great
I
stuff. A lot of it's sort of sad, just a heads up. But when Thorne discovers he is too late to stop soul suicide, he begins to cry. According to a 1997 interview with Robert Osborne on TCM, Charlton Heston was really crying because he was so moved by Edward G. Robinson's performance. Robinson knew he was dying from cancer and kept it from the cast and crew. He knew it would be his last film, and his death scene was the last scene he ever filmed. He died 10 days after shooting wrapped. Knowing that he was dying, Charlton Heston brought Edward G. Robinson a variety of wines and cheeses from all over the world. Each day, Robinson was on set for his scenes, which were all shot first so he could enjoy it. During shooting, Edward Robinson was also totally deaf. He could only hear people if they spoke directly into his ear. His dialogue scenes with other people had to be shot several times before he got the rhythm of the dialogue and was able to respond to people as if he could hear them. He could not even hear director Richard Fleischer yell "cut" when a scene was went wrong. So Robinson would often continue acting out the scene, unaware that shooting had stopped.
Wow.
This was the last film shot on the MGM Studios backlot in Overland Boulevard and Culver Boulevard in Culver City, California. The lot was raised in 1973 to make room for an assisted living community and condos. When Thorne informs the priest in the overcrowded church that Simonson is dead, the priest says, "There should be a requiem mass, but there's no room. Should I make room?" This is a wink to the source novel, Make Room, Make Room.
Oh, wow, nice.
Yeah. And that's trivia.
All right, thanks for that. Well, that's it for the films, folks, for this episode. There's still more show to come, though. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to finish off the show with our last couple of segments. Now, first, you're going to hear a promo for our podcast network called the Prescribed Films Podcast Network.
Sounds cool.
The PFPN is home to so many amazing shows, such as The Movie Defenders. The Movie Defenders is a podcast that discusses the positive aspects of popular movies. Most movie review podcasts spend the entire time tearing down the movies you love instead of celebrating them. They take popular movies that have been ridiculed by critics and defend them. I just got done listening to their latest episode at least from this recording, where they discussed Heathers. 2.5 hours talking about Heathers. It's awesome. I love that movie, and I think they did an outstanding job talking about it. So check out the Movie Defenders and all the other shows at thepfpn.com. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back to the show, and now it's time for your voices to be heard. Here's Jason with shout-outs.
It's time for shout-outs! 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 Shout-outs!
All right, we asked, what are your favorite green horror movies? Green in the title, part of the story, etc. And we got a lot of great comments. Up first, we got Attacker Casey Kelderman says, green in the title, Green Inferno.
Woo!
That's right. Yahoo!
I don't care what you guys say.
I like it. Green featured in the movie, he says. Troll 2. Who doesn't want to eat random green food family left out at their home?
I love all the green food in that movie. It looks like the slime from You Can't Do That on Television.
Yeah, it does.
You can't do that on the dinner table.
Yes.
You can't piss on hospitality.
Yep.
Up next, we got Jacob McLaughlin. He says, Green Room is a master class in pure, relentless tension.
Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely.
He's right. And Attacker Abe, he agrees. He says, I second the hell out of this.
I don't know. I still don't understand how that movie isn't the scariest movie ever for you.
It kind of. I should move it up my unofficial ranks. Because it is.
Watching that movie, I get
Hey, have
tense.
I been on tour since that movie came out?
Well, let's not get into
Right,
that.
I didn't go camping after Blair Witch Project.
It's true.
So
we haven't been swimming since you saw Judd.
that's true. Up next, we got Attacker Emily Randolph. She says, big fan of Green Room and Green Inferno, but also shout out
I'm
to...
just going to pretend all the people talking about Green Inferno are talking about the alternate title, the old Green Inferno, not the Eli Roth one.
You keep pretending, because that's all Eli Roth, baby. She says, which it's good, except for the pot smoking part. That's the only part I just...
It's good except for
They get
all
the
of
munchies.
Except for all of it. She also says, but shout out to Leprechaun since my birthday is St. Patrick's Day.
Oh,
Hey, happy birthday!
Happy
Emily.
birthday.
To you.
Oh, no, we get copyright strikes here, Brian.
No.
Up
That's
next,
not public domain.
we got Lisa from the Bad Movie Bunny podcast, Attacker Lisa. She says, I love Green Room, especially the scene where the band covers Nazi Punk's Fuck Off.
Yeah.
When they realize what the venue really was. Oh, yeah, when they do realize that. Probably one of the most punk rock moments one will have the pleasure of seeing. Hell yes. They're like, whatever you do, don't play any of this. Don't play this song. And then cut to playing this song.
Yep.
It's like when, was it MTV told Nirvana not to
Yep.
do Rape Me, and they went directly into Rape Me.
But didn't they change the lyrics to like "Waif Me" or something like that?
No, they played the opening. They did like the first basically intro, which is "Rape Me," and then went into I don't know, "Smells Like Teen Spirit" or something, just to fuck with the censors, freak them out.
You don't tell punks what not to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you guys ever seen the live footage of Jello Biafra doing Nazi Punk's "Fuck Off" with Napalm Death?
No.
No, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, shit. YouTubing that
Gotta
later.
find that, yeah.
Up next, Attacker Tim Lennerer says, co-signed for Green Room. Patrick Stewart puts on an absolutely terrifying performance, and I had no idea he was capable of such reptilian menace. He comes back.
Excellent
Tim,
way to put it.
Yeah. Tim also says, and a sympathy vote for The Green Slime. Not a great movie, but an amazing theme song. And then in chimes Jacob Smith, Green Slime.
It is an amazing theme song, but it is also an amazing movie.
Yep. Yes.
I'm with you, Brian. I'm with you. I could tell your soul was hurt by his comment.
Especially coming
How
from
dare you.
Tim.
Come on,
Yeah,
Tim.
yeah.
Up next, we got Dave Thomas. No.
What?
No, different guy.
Oh.
Not the Wendy's guy.
What? Oh, from Bob and Doug McKenzie? That Dave
No,
Thomas?
no. Maybe it's... No.
He's never heard either of those jokes before.
I'm sure he hasn't.
Maybe not today.
Apologize, Dave. But Dave says, only because I saw... Okay, he's replying to co-signing of Green Room. He says, only because I saw his Macbeth did I have an idea. Talking about Patrick Stewart. But even in that, I don't know that there was a moment as chilling as Red Laces Only. Woof. Woof.
Oh, yeah.
And then lastly, we got Attacker Rose. She says, Green Horror, the only thing that immediately pops into my mind is that scene in The Shining with that retro green bathroom and the scary naked lady. It's in the tub. Yikes. I hope that counts. Well, that scene's terrifying and ruined part of my childhood. So, yes, that definitely
That did something different to my childhood.
Okay.
I think I saw like pictures from someone who like remodeled their bathroom to look like that.
Oh,
and I'm
no.
like, why?
Nice.
Why? I can understand the cool carpet and stuff, but
Yeah.
that scene, like every time you shower,
Would have a picture of her on the shower curtain.
Oh,
so when the
God.
shower curtain was closed, it looked like she was in the
No,
tub.
Jesus. Yeah, if you never want to go in that bathroom again, do that. All right. But guys, we got a record number of voicemails here, so let's see if this machine...
kick your feet up.
I'm glad I put new batteries in this thing. Here we go. And you guys will have to Google what batteries are. Okay. Up first, we got Godzilla.
Hey, everybody, Attacker Brian here, and it sounds like the podcast crew is talking about green horror movies. So I guess that means the movies with green in the title or green in the movie. So if we're going title, we could start with Green Slime. Then we can go Soylent Green. And if we want to fudge things a little bit, how about a movie from the director David Gordon Green? Halloween, the remake, and the trilogy, and The Exorcist, and all that other stuff. But if we're talking green in the movie, we gotta go Little Shop of Horrors, Swamp Thing, and the biggest, baddest, greenest motherfucking Oscar winner in the history of horror, Godzilla. And I think Bill still owes us a voicemail because he called from the bathroom last time. I'm not sure why he spent so much time in the bathroom. But, you know, maybe for another episode, maybe bathroom horror, have Bill on as guest. I couldn't understand a goddamn word he said. So, Bill, give us a call. And Rod, keep up the good work. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And he made a good point. Like, I'm surprised you didn't try to sneak in a director with the name Green or something. But anyway.
Should have.
All right. Well, more to come. Oh, what's that? Bill answers the call, you say. Here's Bill.
Hey, this is Attacker Bill, calling as, I don't know, promised or requested. Who cares at this point? Anyway, hold on.
We'll wait.
That makes this easier. Anyway, all right, so we're talking about green movies that have green in the title. So I thought I'd go through a list of good, bad, and, well, another movie. So, of course, my favorite movie with green in the title's got to be Green Room. Anything that makes Patrick Swayze finally admit to being the giant Nazi we all knew he was from Star Trek. That makes it great. Anyway, that's a fantastic movie, super realistic and brutal at times. And anybody that's been kind of around punk rock bands knows it's actually fairly realistic in a lot of ways. So I dig it. Also, classic, Soylent Green rules. I've only seen it a few times in my life, but anything that people still claim and The Simpsons have made fun of multiple times, it's got to be good, right? And then, also, big fan of The Green Mile, which I guess kind of technically is Stephen King. You could slide in there, but I just like it. It's well written, characters you really care about, yada yada. Now, for actual horror movies, not because they're actually scary, but because they're so damn terrible that they're scary. Let's see here. I'll start with The Green Hornet. If you haven't seen it, don't. It's just, it's maybe the worst movie I've ever seen. Next, Green Lantern. I take it back. It's the worst movie I've ever seen. Worse than The Green Hornet somehow, some way. And also, to sum it all up, Tad's favorite movie, The Green Knight by A24. I've never watched a movie for 2 or 7 hours or however long that movie is where absolutely nothing talking or happens except for people talking really slow. And then literally what happens at the end of the movie is exactly what they said was going to happen at the beginning. Yay. Now, on top of that, there's one movie that I don't know if any of you guys have heard about, and if you had, I'm actually kind of worried about you. It's a terrible, scary, messed up, effed up movie that was kind of like, to me, it was like Serbian film before Serbian film came out. It's called The Green Elephant. It's a Russian film, and like none of the actors in it were paid a single penny, and it's basically essentially about war criminals being locked up in a Russian gulag and the atrocities that come thereafter. It is thoroughly fucked up. If you haven't watched it, let's just say Serbian film is not far off. It's It's a lot.
Well, it's on my
and
list
speaking
now.
of fucking atrocities, just Brian, let you know, Casey's is absolute garbage pizza. It's like,
Bill.
seriously, it's like, it's
Can you cut him off?
childbirth, but sloppier. It's terrifying. I mean, Casey's pizza is like, it's like,
And he
cuts
did
himself
cut off
off.
because he went too long. The tape ran out on the answering machine. So, which is perfect timing. And so, of course, Bill calls back. Here's part 2, Bill.
okay, this is bullshit. Casey's must be owned by Big Google because they cut me off right in the middle of my rant, but I will not be denied. Listen, at the end of the day, Casey's Pizza is like making out while watching Schindler's List. It's in poor taste and borderline on a hate crime. Thank you. Good night. Keep up the good work, guys. Enjoy yourselves, and I'm excited for the next episode. Bye.
My favorite part's the bye.
Bye.
Is it weird for you guys to hear Bill be like serious for like 10 seconds in there? It was like weird. I don't know. But now Brian has a movie he's got to look up now.
Yeah.
All right, more voicemails, guys. We got a couple more from Hot Rod. Here's this.
Hey, Tacker Rod here again. I'm a little confused. Last week I talked about green shit. And this week you guys are talking about green. Not sure who picked that. I'm going to guess Tad. But then last week, Mike mentions a movie we won't talk about and challenges me. But before he can challenge me, I go for the challenge before that. So what's going on here? Did I take the blue or the red pill? It doesn't freaking matter. I also heard that some of you guys don't like Casey's Pizza so much. Well, screw you.
Thank you.
A little PSA for this week from my best friend Skeletor. If you ever donated blood, the blood could be in someone's boner right now. Until next time.
And one more from Rod. This is so funny.
Attacker Rod here again. Please don't make the next episode about boners. Thanks.
That's too late.
Oh my goodness.
That was not at all planned.
So those are the voicemails. A lot of pizza talk. People on the right side and the wrong side of it.
Pizzas and boners. Yep.
Yeah, so the
My
killer
life.
chat. You should join up.
If anything, I think we've dissuaded people.
That might be true. All right. Well, that's. You can also give us a call if you want to leave a voicemail. You can. We'll clearly play anything. Just give us a call, 415-952-6857. That's 415-95-AOTKP. Leave us that voicemail. We'll play it on the show, and that is shout-outs.
Hey, what's big and green and lives at the bottom of the ocean?
What?
Moby Snot, the great green whale. It's time for Insane's Picks.
For Insane's Picks, I'm going back to the filmography of Roberta Findlay, and I'm going to be talking about The Oracle from 1985. So here we go. Jennifer and her jerk husband and his cheesy 70s mustache move into this old lady's apartment. The property manager tells them the old lady disappeared without a trace. Jennifer comes across a box that contains a hand with a quill that works as a spiritual planchette that can communicate with the dead. Meanwhile, there's this stranger named Farkas who picks up a prostitute, goes with her to her place, and then kills her. Jennifer and her husband Ray host a Christmas party in which they use the planchette. The hand with the quill suddenly starts writing the message, "Help me." Later that night, Jennifer discovers the planchette writing the name William Graham and a phone number. She calls the number and learns that William Graham was a man who had committed suicide 3 weeks earlier. Jennifer is freaking out about the box because it trashes the apartment and continues to write on its own. Ray, her jerk of a husband, thinking Jennifer is crazy, gets rid of the box. The super ends up taking the box and tries to use it to get winning lotto numbers, but the box releases a monster that looks kind of like a wacky walker, making the super believe it's being attacked, but it's all in his mind as he stabs himself to death trying to kill the creature. Jennifer retrieves the planchette and begins using it again. She sees William Graham did not commit suicide but was murdered by Farkas and an accomplice. Everybody thinks she's losing her mind as she gets closer to the truth. However, the killers don't think she's crazy and they go after her before she figures everything out. At a New Year's Eve party, Jennifer is attacked by the killer disguised as a waitress, but she is able to escape. Jennifer is eventually taken to a psychiatric institute. There, one of the killers, disguised as a doctor, tries to kill Jennifer, but is killed instead by some supernatural creature. That is as far as I'm going to go with the plot, because I don't want to give away the big reveal ending. I love Roberta Findlay's films. I cannot get enough. Every time I discover one, it's that same gritty New York backdrop, as she always tries to do, and she always tries to do so much more in her films with absolutely nothing. Her films are from that perfect era of New York underground that I love. These films all have the look and feel that that are all kind of from that same breed. They all kind of have that same look and feel and smell and touch to them. There's that moment in this movie where her husband has his head ripped off by some creature living in the laundry chute. It kind of really gave me some Basket Case vibes. So The Oracle is on Tubi along with Roberta's other films. Now, there are those that have been taking issues with Tubi. You got the commercials, but even editing films for content. So if there's some things that I did not get to see since this was my first viewing, that sucks. But, hey, I'm going to go on my soapbox again. The World Wide Web Internet. I'm kind of struggling it's hard to find anything out about Roberta Findlay, let alone find her films. So I love Tubi, at least for giving us access to her stuff. So yeah, I can't, like I said, I can't get enough of her films. I should highly recommend checking it out. If you like the movie Witchboard, but you wish it had a lower budget, had random weird creatures in it, and a crazed lesbian serial killer, then you need to check out The Oracle.
I wish that about every movie I watch.
When he said it, I'm like, nobody wishes it had a lower well, okay, maybe one guy.
You've seen The Oracle, haven't you, Brian?
I have not, but I think that's going to be on the docket for this weekend now.
Yeah, definitely check it out. Again, I don't know if anything has been cut. There's, all this talk of Tubi censoring their stuff, but I think that's getting to be the point of every streaming service. Anyway, that is it for this episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast. I want to thank everybody for listening. I want to thank the Attackers for supporting the show. If you can't get enough of us, I don't know why, but you can find us on the TikToks, the Facebooks, YouTube, Instagrammies, XXX, and Threads. Did I get it all? I remember everything?
The Attackers are people.
Well, some of them.
It's very questionable, yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Oh no, could this be the end of? Wow.